Hey guys, today we're going to do the tutorial on how to stretch frame rails. I'm working with the 378 Peterbilt frame rails. I've got two pieces here, just a couple sections. It's a rear section and a mid section out of the kit. I'm just going to use this for reference right now. If you're gonna use two sets of rails, the easiest way to do this is figure out how long you want the frame. And what I always look for when I'm putting my join together is I look for a cross member mounting point. Right here on the inside of the rail there's a little block, and that little block is where your cross member sets in, just like that. So that's the spot you want to look for. When I make this cut on the frame rail, I'm going to cut right behind that little block that the cross member sits on. Just using just a normal everyday razor saw. Make my cut straight down through this. Keep this as straight and as plumb as possible. We'll clean it up here in a minute, but if you get this straight right from the get-go, you're a little bit ahead of the game. And then I just take basically my sanding file, and I'll come in and square up that cut a little bit, and we'll get that a little bit better. There we go, that looks pretty good. And another thing that I do with that cut is I will check it with this little plastic square I have here, just to make sure that that thing is as close to square as you can get it. That looks pretty good. Okay, basically it's as easy as this. I'm going to take my donor piece of rail that I have, and I'm going to put the two together and pretty much see what the join area looks like. You don't want to see any gaps in it. If you've got a gap in it somewhere, it's not cut square enough. And of course this one's not quite square enough yet. So I'm going to take just a little bit more off the top of the rail here. And we'll sand that down and see if we can get this a little bit better. Okay, that's actually looking pretty good there. Could be a little better, but that's not too bad. Alright, and I do not use Pro Weld or any type of the Real Aggressive liquid adhesives when I'm doing stretching these frame rails. It'll make the frame rails a little bit too soft, and they will bow. So what I do is just take my black liquid cement from Testors and put a little bit on the edge of the rail, and same thing with the other side, and just a little bit of this goes a long ways. And I will take those two pieces and we will slide them together and give them a little bit of pressure, push in on them, and get them as square as you can at this point. And then basically, if that was the rail length that you needed, your rail would be put together right there. Now, to strengthen that, I take the cross member, and the reason why we cut that right behind that cross member boss is because when you set the cross member into place, one half of the cross member is on your front section of rail, and the other half of the cross member is on your donor piece that you put in for your frame stretch. And that keeps you from having to put a bridge plate on the inside of this, which I will use, but it depends on the length of frame I'm doing. If you're doing an inch, maybe an inch and a half, I would say about 2 inches at the most, you can use this technique here without a bridge plate. Anything over 2 inches, you're definitely going to need a bridge inside of it, and that's a whole different technique, which I will do another video on that to kind of explain how to go about that process. So what we have right now is, this is the join area of the two rails with the cross member in there. You can see that the cross member blends right over top of the join area, and when this is all dry, this will be pretty much as strong as the kit rail. And if you remember, if you watched the video I did on straightening frame rails, if this thing gets bowed just a little bit, same technique. You can kind of twist it in your fingers a little bit and move it around, and you will end up with a straight rail. So that pretty much does it for using a donor piece of rail to stretch a frame. I'm going to do the second video, which will be adding about 1 3/4 inch stretch, and I will do that with the bridge plate on the inside of the rail. So, but like I say, that'll be part 2. If you have any questions or concerns on this video, just shoot me a PM through the forum, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So if you've got some of these parts laying around, you want to practice, you know, give it a shot. It's a pretty easy technique, and I didn't do any finish work on this, but we will work on how I finish these off at a later date. This is just to give you an idea of how to stretch them right now. So with that being said, I'm going to let you go on this one, and stay tuned for part 2 of the frame stretch tutorial.